Hello, everybody. My name is Jonathan Pieterse. I'm your host today for today's webinar. Our subject is Rethinking Growth, how UAE Free Zones can strengthen your market access strategy. This webinar is very much aimed at manufacturers in Europe, but of course around the globe as well. We will be connected to this webinar for about 30 minutes. On the top of your webinar, you'll see some functionality. There is an opportunity to ask questions, so you can add your questions into the webinar as well. And at the very, very end of the webinar, any of those questions that we see, we will voice out as part of a Q&A as well, so that we can capture some of your feedback. For anybody listening to this webinar on demand, because I know a number of you said you wanted to do that, we will also have a presentation as well. So we'll share some of the documentation materials that have come from this as well, including an Excel kind of guide on how to do things within the Middle East, etc. So let's get started. Today, I'll be your host. My name is Jonathan Pieterse. I'm one of the founders of NXT Horizon. And I've been working in manufacturing now for about 15 years. I've worked within predominantly components manufacturing companies, including Murata and Rockwell Automation. And we now, as NXT Horizon, consult in a number of different businesses who wish to grow scale within, obviously, different regions, or even doing launch plans for different products, etc. It's kind of our area of expertise. And we're also joined today with Robin, who's also part of NXT Horizon, and Andreas. I'll let Robin go ahead and introduce himself.
Hi, everybody. Robin Joffe here. Also, as Jonathan mentioned, a co-founder of NXT Horizon. Prior to this, I was based in Asia Pac, and also most recently, the last 5 years in the Middle East, helping companies to really scale their businesses, to go to market, identify opportunities and risks, and of course the opportunities in the region, and to look at really helping companies to grow their businesses. Thank you.
And I'll also get our guest speaker, Andreas. He's from Khaimah, RAKEZ, the economic zone in the UAE. So I'll go ahead and let Andreas introduce himself as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andreas Sajgaschew. I work as a country manager for the Khaimah economic zone. I'm responsible for several European countries. What we do in our business development department is that we support investors, industrial companies, HNIs, who are interested in investing into the UAE and bringing them closer to RAKEZ and Khaimah. And I'm very happy to be a speaker today at this event.
Thank you. And someone's just alerted me that my camera is not working. So I'm just going to pop out for a second and see what's going on. 1 second. Let's see. There we are. So I'm sure everybody would love to see me. Who knows? So there, I think you all can see me now. So one of the things that we're going to be talking today is about our challenge, the challenge we face within Europe, especially. Right now, there has been a lot of changes within the supply chain market, within how we work, within the labor rules, regulatory, the carbon challenges that we've had to kind of like abide to, specifically with the EU, combined with increasing energy costs, etc. So all of these issues are squeezing us more and more. And if it was a case of that we could deal with this head on in a kind of a free market, maybe it would be an easy enough pill to swallow. But the point is, we're constantly competing with materials coming in from China, which may not have the same pressures. And now from the US, we're getting as well with the tariffs. So I think it's a really tough time for manufacturers. I would say, and whilst we work on a little bit of negatives at the beginning of this presentation, there also opens up a lot of opportunities. When we're forced to change, it actually creates a lot of dynamism within the market. And you may find, through some of the challenges you're facing today, there are ways that you can, adapt your business so that you can increase revenues further than you may have thought, and reduce costs further than you may have been at when you started. there has been a lot of broad appeal around the Middle Eastern hubs. I'm sure all of you have been talking about this for some time. It's been an issue specifically where I'm located. I'm located in the UK. For a lot of manufacturers, is that people have been thinking about where they could move to, but at the same time, that can create a lot of nervousness. So today, really, what we want to do is perhaps open the curtain, release the veil, and talk a little bit about what that might mean. So let's go into a little more detail about some of these challenges. One big number that we were surprised actually when we did our first research analysis into this was that 71% of manufacturers have been forced to raise prices in 2025. So I would say that this number, if you were talking about small increases, may not seem like a big deal, like we increase prices every year, but we're talking about sizable changes to the way they cost their services. And someone is hurt in all of this, whether it's ourselves because we no longer be price competitive, or whether it be through the consumer or the distributors managing the products. Wherever it is, everyone's feeling the squeeze. And the issue with this is that there has been inflation across the board. We've been seeing the same issues within further sectors beyond ours within Japan, where we've seen a lot of hyperinflation there in the market as well. And all of these issues create a very dynamic market as far as supply is concerned. Some benefits, of course, but in other ways, some huge challenges as well. So offsetting this has been a challenge. The other issue, which I think is much more specific to Europe, is the rising energy costs. We've found that European manufacturers alone have seen a huge percentile growth in costs as far as production of goods is concerned. The other issue we're seeing is that whilst that is high, we've also been forced to look for other ways to bring in energy into the way that we do, or be more efficient in the way that we produce products from an energy perspective because of carbon offsetting. Siemens, I think it was 5 years ago, declared themselves carbon zero, and everybody kind of felt the rush and the pressure to be able to achieve that. But the point is that they were able to do that in a very, very different environment to what we're in now. And the idea of being able to achieve that whilst being squeezed in multiple directions makes it quite unlikely for a lot of companies. With the rising costs within the consumer market means that there is more governmental pressure about raising salaries. So we've had double-digit cost increases on staff, and the labor laws within Europe, as we all know, are quite strict as far as this is concerned, which has made us hesitate perhaps in putting staff and deploying people into the manufacture of goods, which has forced us already to perhaps rely on contract manufacturers or people overseas to be able to do things that perhaps we've had the appetite to do for ourselves. Now, this also combined with a real gap as far as skills are in the market, and finding talent is one thing, but finding talent that sticks is a completely new issue. And I think this is what people have been saying across the board that we've been speaking to, is that it's all very well finding people who may have the necessary resumes or CVs to be able to do what they need to do, but the actual managing of what's happening with a lot of projects, people have been looking elsewhere for a lot of the skill outside of Europe, which has been a big challenge as well. The regulatory complexity has always been there. I would say it's growing, but not growing. It's not the fact that it's growing is the issue. It's the fact that it's becoming far more aware to us about these issues with everything else combined to it. So where we're trying to do the right thing, where we're trying to follow the rules, and we're trying to ensure that the products that we create, have a certain standard and a certain